So in a world where side hustle has become the new norm, or maybe you're just tired and want to try something new, Amazon FBA still presents the best opportunity out there. So in this video, you're gonna know everything you need to know to decide whether it's gonna be a full-time job or a side hustle for you to try, so let's get started. So I've been doing Amazon now for almost 3 years and doing it full-time for 2 years, and I've learned a lot running through the business, from hiring an employee to negotiating deals with big distributors that ultimately helped me sell over $2 million in sales. And I get it, you're probably gonna wanna know how many people or percent actually are doing Amazon FBA full-time. Based on this article statistic from junglescout.com, it's saying that 38% still work a full-time job, and full-time job defined as 40 hours per week. So we also learned that 76% of Amazon sellers run their business primarily from their own home, right? And only 19% either rent or own office space to run their business. So this could be a warehouse or a storage unit, which I use currently at the moment. And these statistics are definitely on point, and I want to share my own story, how I got started with Amazon, because as a beginner, it's super easy to get overwhelmed where to start. There's so many information getting thrown at you, everything at once. There's this Bob Ross quote that I really love, and he says, "Painting is like everything else. The more you practice, the easier it becomes, the better you get, the more confidence you have." And this is why Bob Ross is so beloved by everyone, just because, he's got such a calm, chill demeanor, but also at the same time really encourages you that you can pretty much paint anything. And this quote really resonates with me, and I hope with you as well, because we can use this in whatever endeavor that we want to pursue and follow. It's not just about Amazon FBA, but everything in life really applies to this. So yeah, 3 years ago, I was working a full-time job at Range Rover in Miami, and I wanted to start a business, but I had no idea what. But then luckily, I stumbled upon Amazon FBA by seeing one of these ads here, and I found my way working towards the business. And I wanted to do it big. I had some ambitions to do, but at the same time, I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what products to sell, and it was very frustrating at first. So with my humble beginning, I did start selling used textbooks. The reason for that is because when I was in college, I was selling, old college textbooks to younger students, or Craigslist or other Facebook groups, what it may be. So in my mind, I've done this before, and actually selling on Amazon.com would make everything a lot easier because, everyone shops at Amazon pretty much nowadays. So after sourcing, stumbling, sending some textbooks to Amazon FBA, after a few weeks, close to a month, I finally had my first sale, and that was it. I was hooked. So then I started to buy more and more textbooks, and slowly but surely, my small little tiny apartment in Miami started to turn to a little warehouse. But then the downside of selling textbooks is just it doesn't sell a lot. It only peaks about twice a year, which is during the beginning of semesters. So then I tried selling, like baby clothes or baby products and big toys, but I still did not see any success. But I kept trying and trying and trying. Just Bob Ross said, continue practicing. And then finally, I was able to see some success. I started to sell, small grocery items I would find from Walmart, and also some beauty products, and that's where it really started to slowly click for me. So you might be wondering, how many hours do Amazon sellers really spend on their business? So in the beginning, for me, I did spend a lot of time. I didn't keep track of it. The reason I spent a lot because I was learning. I was really immersed into it. There's so many things you need to learn, especially in the beginning of Amazon. It's kind of like drinking out of a fire hydrant. Everything comes at you at once, so it can be easy to get overwhelmed. But I had the mentality that I'm gonna learn through this, and it was really helpful from the start. And yeah, that's pretty normal because as a beginner, it's gonna be foreign to you. There's a lot of things that maybe you haven't, dealt with before. So the learning process in the beginning, you're gonna spend a lot of time, which is, again, fine. Thankfully, you have me. You have this video, you have this channel to use as your resource, which we come up with new videos each week. So definitely hit the subscribe button. So back to the statistics here at Jungle Scout. Actually, the majority, 64%, spent fewer than 20 hours per week working on their Amazon FBA business. So my approach in the beginning with Amazon FBA is let's see what happens. It can work out, but again, if it doesn't work out, I'm fine with it. And that's a good mentality to come up with, as just it's going to be a side hustle. And as we learn from the statistics, only 38% are actually a full-time Amazon sellers. So the rest are still doing it as a side hustle, which is more than enough to run a pretty good business in terms of that, because I would say just from experience, you reality need about 10 hours per week. in order to get the grasp of everything. And if you break it to 10 hours, it's roughly comes out to just a little bit over an hour each day, which is doable to a lot of people if they really want to try do this and see for themselves. Of course, the longer you are in business, the more experience you get, the more systems you have built out. You may have employees to help you out as well. The easier it's just gonna get, and thus, as a result, you're just gonna be spending less time on the business. And for me, scaling and growing the business happened naturally. I first wanted to learn the ins and out of Amazon, so that way I actually know what I'm gonna teach to someone that I'm gonna hire. You don't wanna be in the situation where the blind leads the blind, and thus the result is not gonna be any good. So learning the ins and out before hiring someone is really important. So yeah, I then hired my first virtual assistant from OnlineJobs.ph. She's a virtual assistant from the Philippines. Taught her how to find leads and source for me every day, which is just amazing. In terms of prepping the packages or sending it to Amazon, the same concept applies. Learn the ins and outs of the business. I was doing everything manually, and it came to a point where I was just buying and growing the business. There were a lot of packages that I need to prep, and I was overwhelmed and actually was behind sometimes. Occasionally, yes, I would have, the help of my friends or family members and stuff like that. But still, at the end of the day, there was still a lot to handle for one person to do everything. To solve that, I started to work with prep centers. I currently have 2 prep centers that I send my products to. They handle majority of the prepping and shipping to Amazon on my behalf, which is just useful. And I also did make a video about that in detail. So if you want to learn how the whole process works, definitely check it out and go to my channel. But yes, having the prep center to do everything in terms of prepping and packing freed up a lot of my time. Now I pretty much just oversee everything, just making sure everything goes smoothly. And using a prep center is something that I would recommend to someone that has currently a full-time job, because it would allow you to just focus on sourcing and finding profitable items that you can purchase and have someone else take care of the shipping and prepping, because that's what they do full-time. So it just frees up a lot of your time as well. And the reason I say that is because when I started to do my own prepping, it was just a lot of headaches. You have to learn which products go to which box. You gotta weigh the box, you gotta print out the labels and stuff like that, which was a big learning curve when I first started, and it was getting frustrating. So if you have a full-time job, it's way easier to just have the prep center do everything. And I would 100% use the prep center if I was to start Amazon FBA all over again. You don't want to be the farmer that refuses to use a tractor, especially nowadays. We're in the AI technology. There's just a lot of tools and softwares available that can help automate things for us. And again, it just allows us to kind of oversee everything, make sure everything runs smooth. It's because when I first started, I did a lot of things manually. I would have the Google Sheets, copy and paste every single products I would find. I would reprice everything manually, every other hour or every other day. And it was consuming a lot of time for me. And the more time you spend in your business, you're gonna learn these little things that don't really benefit as much versus like maybe spending that time sourcing, which really brings the money that you can make on Amazon. This is where tools like Keepa, SellerAmp, or BeCool really helps run the business. And I did make a video about this in detail. So guys, feel free to check that out somewhere in the link description down below. But yeah, for example, like BeCool, it's an automated AI repricer that all you have to do is set a minimum and a maximum, and you pretty much just set it and forget it, and it will stay competitive in terms of pricing and still to ensure that you're making money. Keepa, SellerAmp, those 2 tools are pretty much a must if you're selling on Amazon, because it gives you an advantage, pretty much your cheat sheet in terms of telling if a product will sell or not. So the best thing for everyone is to try it out, start Amazon FBA as a side hustle, and to see if you like it or not. That will give you the answer. And from then, you can either build it up, do it full-time. Like for me, I knew it was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to have the flexibility, work on my own hours. So I definitely just fell in love and wanted to do it full-time. Or it could be a nice side hustle for you to just make extra money. So how can you get started Amazon FBA as a side hustle? First thing is you definitely want to commit. You want to make sure that you will try and do your best to do this Amazon thing and make sure you make money. And the second thing I would say as well is to make sure you have time set aside to your commitment. As we talked about, 10 hours is plenty of time to make sure you have a profitable, successful business that's a little bit over an hour each day. Dedicate like 6 months to it just to make sure you can see the whole thing works out, because the first few months you're just gonna be learning and you're not gonna see as much result. But if you give it 6 months, I think that's a good timeline to see and give you the answers that you want. And based on the statistics against here, 47 of sellers believe having enough time to commit to their Amazon FBA business still guarantees and contributes to their success. So what did it look like for me when I started is after work, I would work on Amazon for about an hour, 2 hours, depending on each night, how busy I am or how tired I am. Then on the weekend, especially on Saturday, I would spend a little bit more time, maybe 4 to 5 hours right after noon. Then that would still allow me to free up my weekends to do and enjoy my life. Third tip is you want to be a sponge as well. When I first started, I pretty much grasped on anything Amazon related, whether that's a podcast or like a YouTube video, because who knows, that little nugget could be the piece that can help you unlock, give you that aha moment to your Amazon FBA business. And remember, the more you practice, the easier it becomes, the better you get, the more confidence you have. Who knows, a couple years from now, you could be living your dream life, whether that's traveling, having the flexibility, whatever it may be. You never know what's possible out there. And guys, if you want to know the real cost of running an Amazon FBA business, check this video out right here. I break it down to the T. Watch it. Thank you so much.